Hello, I greet you. Today I would like to discuss the gait pattern during leg lengthening with you. I have a lot of questions about how I will walk and what I can expect in terms of mobility during the leg lengthening process. And it is very, very important for me to provide them with a foundation that they can use to calculate. Also something you can count on. Before we go into more detail, I need to explain essential aspects in the thigh area and also in the lower leg area. When we have the operation right now in the thigh area, we will mobilize you in the hospital and then you will walk on forearm crutches. You will be trained by us in the alternating step on forearm crutches to ensure you have a safe, good gait pattern. You can definitely expect this within the first 14 days. It's not that I'm actually afraid of the nails or even a potential material failure in any way at all. Regarding the weight, the limits are relatively clear. Beyond 100 kilos, I cannot operate. I also do not want to operate 85 kilos and more. Then they should definitely stay on the forearm crutches. Under 85 kilograms, they can train if they slowly reduce the support. That means for the first 14 days, they will be trained in alternating step on forearm crutches. If they manage that excellently, then we start to reverse the forearm crutches and train them in an alternating step with reversed forearm crutches. That means they put more weight on their legs and use the forearm crutches only for stabilization. Essentially, this is the goal for the first phase. If they do that well, then we switch to trekking poles, as they will only have minimal stabilization in the gait pattern and the main weight on their legs. And if they do that well, then we will train them in free walking. But now an important point comes into play when we train them in free walking, because they usually need a fixed point and ideally they need a mirror in front of them where they can see themselves. 2001, because here comes a new phenomenon that is typical for all weight-bearing nails. You have to imagine when I have operated on the thigh area, I am practically fragmenting your skeletal system, your body. They have an upper area, they have a lower area. These are completely separate from each other and only connected by the nail in between. Now, it is indeed the case that with this nail or with the bone, there are very slight micro movements between the bones at the edge and the nail itself. They can't prevent that 100%. There will always be micro movements, no matter how press-fit I install the nail. That means when you walk normally, you basically have to imagine that your center of gravity is always between your legs. This center of gravity does not sway from one side to the other. You do not sway with your pelvis or your upper body from one side to the other. Instead, with your current normal gait pattern, the center of gravity is always stable between your legs. Now, if they have experienced a leg lengthening, more noticeable in the thigh area than in the lower leg area, then they have fragmented their body. Then they stand on the supporting leg here, and there are micro movements between the nail and the edge case. And these micro movements in their environment make them feel insecure. The funny thing is that the head sees the leg as intact, but notices that they are a bit wobbly and creates a so-called illusion. This means they suddenly feel like the ground is moving. It's the same illusion as when you're sitting on a train and the neighboring train starts moving, then you feel like you're going backwards. The head does the same with leg lengthening patients. They stand on the supporting leg and then it feels a bit unstable. They think the ground is moving, and then we do what has been predetermined for us since the Neanderthals. When we walk through the forest in the dark and suddenly step into a hole, it becomes uncertain here, and they shift their center of gravity over the supporting leg to be safe. This is a completely normal process that also occurs unconsciously and leads to the classic gait pattern that leg lengthening patients have, especially with weight-bearing nails, because then they walk like a penguin, with the upper body swaying from one side to the other to stabilize exactly this. And this phenomenon is really, really great in the context of leg lengthening. In the thigh area a bit more than in the lower leg area. And it doesn't have much to do with the press fit of the nail, but rather is a classic instability moment between the bony edge and the nail in the bone. That means it can be trained away, you can focus on it. When the focus goes away, they will start wobbling again. However, this will only completely disappear once the gap between the individual bony aspects is somewhat fixed. That means 8 to 12 weeks after stopping the leg lengthening, which is generally how long it takes for the bone to heal, they need that time to regain a normal gait pattern without focusing on it. And that is very, very important to understand. It is important to us that you maintain a normal gait pattern during the leg lengthening process. I would not recommend free walking, and accepting that you wobble back and forth like a penguin, because then this incorrect gait pattern gets ingrained in your mind and you will have very, very strong problems later on trying to unlearn it. You will continue to wobble afterwards as well. That means if we see them and they are free walking and wobbling from right to left, we will always recommend taking a step back, first to trekking poles or on reversed forearm crutches to maintain a good gait pattern, because that is the focus. It's not the fear of the nails or anything like that, but it's the training reason why they should maintain a normal gait pattern, and then they will have fewer problems afterward when they stop the leg lengthening or are in the regenerative phase. Thank you for that.